Okay, we're on. So thanks for joining us in this iteration of Daytona Office Hours again. So as always, it's every Wednesday where we go over the last few releases, over the releases that are coming up, some contributor highlights, and then we have an open floor for questions, and that's about it. So I'll just quickly share my screen to go over the last release. I'll just increase the zoom. Okay, that's fine. So I think Ivan covered the release 0.22.0. Ivan, correct me if I'm wrong. On the last iteration, and we only had one patch release from that major one, which was the patch for just one code command runtime error. And this is some refactor that has nothing to do with the functionality, as all refactors do. So nothing really special to mention about the past releases. So we can go on to we can immediately go on to the releases that we have coming up and what we want to what we are planning on releasing for the release coming up in Friday. So the easiest way to check what's coming up, if I just like try to create a new release and then check the change log, that's like the easiest path for me. So if we take a look at what's currently merged in main and unreleased, we have some style changes. Style, for those that don't know, is just tag or a subject of a commit that just makes a few code style changes. We have a fix for the install.sh script that is used for installing Daytona on user's machine. We have introduced the server command into the Daytona menu. So the first command that users run generally is the Daytona command, and now it will include the Daytona server command as well. And a few fixes regarding API key lists and the JSON format. We narrowed the gradient in the logo, which was again contributed by Eshill. It just narrows the gradient so it's more apparent on some other types of backgrounds, not just on the black and white ones. Also, we have a refactor where we moved the Gitnes client module into the Git provider. Again, just a smaller factor to the code, which was contributed by Sven. And also, we have a fix for no TUI for Daytona profile use, which was just a small issue with not rendering the UI when running this command. Again, contributed by Eshill. We can see that we have Ansh as Ansh as a new contributor to this release. He made the change to remove the unnecessary continue from the install.sh command, which caused some issues in some scenarios. So this is what's currently up for release, but we also plan on merging some stuff before Friday and releasing that as well. So if we take a look at the PRs, we can take a look at some of the ones that we are definitely going to merge, which we know, which are mostly PRs that are coming from us. So the first fix is just some update to, or a fix to updating the container user UID and GID. This is a fix for the scenario where the user running Daytona doesn't have the exact same UID as the container user. Also, we have a dev container remote user fallback. This was an issue opened by Nico, I think, which showed up in one of our Daytona experiments repo, which didn't have the remote user entry in the dev container JSON. This now just fixes the issue. And this will, again, require a provider update because it's a change that is implemented in the Docker library. Then something interesting is from our newest contributor. It's a PR that adds support to setting the registry image. So if you notice in the code, when you start up the Daytona server, we also spin up a local container registry, and this registry always had a hard-coded image of registry with some tag. But this user then contributed a change where the user can configure, where the user can configure the registry image to whatever they like. And if you maybe don't have access to Docker Hub or you want to use something custom, now you can with this PR, and hopefully we'll have that ready for Friday. Then just a small UI fix with missing terminal cursor. So if you notice, if you Control C out of the creation process of the workspace, sometimes you get a missing cursor in the terminal, which you can't really recover from. And this issue just fixes it and improves the overall UX of that. I mean, I won't go over each of the PRs one by one. I'll just mention those that are sure to be merged. We also have a fix to update the Swagger Docs API version, which is served by the Daytona server. So if you didn't know, the Daytona API server actually serves the Swagger UI as well. So you can actually call and test API calls on the Daytona server by just opening the UI in your browser. Then maybe the biggest change that's coming in the next release is this PR made by me. So it's essentially adding telemetry data collection to the CLI itself. And it has a hefty description here, actually, because this description essentially describes exactly what data Daytona will gather. And the important thing here is that it's completely anonymous. So the data that we collect will not ever contain any personally identifiable information. So no usernames, no I don't know, emails, no environment variables, no user secrets. None of that is ever collected. But the goal of gathering this telemetry data is to allow us to improve the binary further. It's to allow us to track errors. It's to allow us to improve UX for let's say commonly used commands, or maybe improve UX where we see people struggling with other commands. It's generally just to improve the entire Daytona ecosystem, and it's the only purpose of this telemetry. The data will never be sold. It's something that's only to improve the product itself. And you can read through this entire document. I even linked to some of the relevant code snippets here, where you can see which actual telemetry data is collected with the CLI, which is collected from the API, and also some relevant server events as well. Also, on the important note, you can always disable telemetry with the Daytona telemetry disable command. This will disable the telemetry across the entire CLI and across all of your workspaces. So if you disable it, that will be respected inside your projects as well. And then just a small note for this PR, because of the way we store the flag to enable telemetry, if users want to contribute to the telemetry data, they will have to actually run Daytona telemetry enable if they already installed and set up Daytona. If new users are onboarding and are coming on to Daytona and are installing it themselves, they will have telemetry enabled automatically. Also, an important thing to mention is we use PostHog as our telemetry service of choice. And nothing special to say there other than that. For now, we use PostHog. We'll see if we want to change that service. We will, of course, inform all of our users as well. Also, if you ever want to check which actual events are being triggered and transmitted over to the PostHog backend, you can use the log level trace environment variable, which will just then output all the information about the telemetry data that's being collected by Daytona. Also, we will prep a whole document on our documentation page where everything will be outlined as well. So anyone interested in the data can, in what we collect, can check out the documentation page as well. And maybe, do we have anything else that's ready for merge? Again, maybe you see that there's a lot more PRs than there were last week or the week before. So the interesting thing is that last week, I think on Wednesday, so just a week from now, we launched our biggest bounty program yet, where we bountied 42 or 44 issues, something like that. We bountied them all at the same time, and the aim of those bounties was to grow the Daytona community, to basically allow users to monetize their work towards Daytona. And we will keep doing that in the future as well. If you saw our news articles lately, you might have noticed that we are committed to actually provide $60,000 till the end of the year to open source bounties such as this. Not bounties in general, but generally to just growing the Daytona open source ecosystem. And they are still, some of them are still left unclaimed. So if you check out the claim PRs, we can see that we currently have 17 open PRs that are up for claim. So I think about 20 issues, 20 bounties are still up for grabs. So if you're interested in contributing to Daytona, you can check out the issues and contribute that way. So Nico posted something in the chat. Let me just check. Copy link address. He said this is nice. Let's check what's nice. TUI breaks on Daytona create. Oh, so yeah, this is a nice issue that I don't think anyone grabbed, and this is an issue that Nico is very adamant on solving. So if you want to help Nico out and maybe solve a bounty, that could be a starting point for you, or you can just explore the other issues and bounties and then figure out what works best for yourself. So those are I think the most, let's say, prominent PRs that are getting merged and are getting released. So other than that, what we have going for in the long term, so the telemetry data, again, will help us out in figuring out how to prioritize some stuff moving forward. So that will definitely help us out in not only improving Daytona in the short term, but in the long term as well, because we will be able to prioritize based on data and based on how many people are using the CLI or what are they using it for, and so on. Again, if you want to take a look at the PR, you can check out all the data that's gathered. If you think there's anything that we're gathering too much or too little of, please join in the discussion on the PR, and we will, of course, hear you out and make adjustments accordingly. So I think that covers the release part of things and what we have planned on releasing on Friday. So now I would leave it to you. I would ask if anyone has any questions about Daytona, about any issues that are occurring, about open source contributions. Ask away, and we have a lot of team members here who will gladly answer. Of course, if you're not comfortable with asking questions live on recording, that's fine as well. We have our Daytona community Slack active, where you can ask any team member anything directly, or in any channel we have open. You can also join on the discussions on the issues, open up issues, or just help us out with contributing and opening solutions to the issues that we already have open. Oh, okay. So we have a question. So, what languages can be used to contribute to Daytona open source project? Okay, that's a great question. So if you see, that's something interesting that you can review in GitHub, actually. So if you see on, when you go to the main page of a GitHub repo, you'll see down here, you have the breakdown of the languages. And now you can see that 99.2% of the entire binary is written in Go. So Go would be the, let's say, prime language for contributing to Daytona, because the entire CLI currently is written in Go. Yes, okay, no problem, Priscilla. So Nico posted a link for Daytona experiments in the chat. Let me just open it up. Copy link address. Okay. So if you take a look at the Daytona IO experiments GitHub organization, that's an organization where we have public repositories for some experiments that we call them, that we're conducting. And the goal of the Daytona experiments organization is to is to run experiments, for example, for some AI experiments, or maybe experiments on how to set up how to bootstrap projects, or for example, one of the repos we recently let's say finished up is the starter MERN SaaS, where you can take a look at how to set up a repo using MERN, using the MERN stack for some CRM. And the goal of these repos is to allow the, let's say, Daytona community to quickly start projects. And if you take a look at the commits here, you'll see that all of the commits are made by external contributors. So if you want to take a look at some of the experiments that we have posted, you can take a look at all of the repos and maybe reach out to us if you want to contribute, or if you have a suggestion for any of their experiments, feel free to ask us on community. Oh, okay, yeah, nice. So as Nico said, on the Daytona IO experiments, you can use any language you want. So you can suggest any kind of tech stack, any kind of language stack. So feel free to reach out to us via Daytona community, and yeah, join the Daytona IO experiments channel on our Slack, and then you can post which kind of tech stack you would like to use for these experiments, and we'll definitely consider it. As Nico said, we're open to any language, any stack on this GitHub organization. So do we have any more questions? As I said, if not, it's totally fine. We can continue the discussion on Slack and on GitHub. And that's it. Nico, maybe you can maybe post the link somewhere in Slack, more visible, so other people might join as well. Okay, so I'll stop the recording now. Just a sec.